Hello everybody, welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. I'm Scott, joined by Josh.
Hello Scott.
Josh, my friend, as an addendum to the previous video that we did on the state of Rockstar overall, is a massive leak that appeared on Reddit very recently, but has now been deleted. So take all of this with a mountain of salt. It's very, very specific, it's very detailed, and it's just kind of fun to talk about this stuff in light of any official announcements from Rockstar in regards to the state of GTA 6. So this leak came from Test Pattern 5 over on Reddit, and like I said, it's always been deleted and stuff. But I'm going to pull a few things from Dexerto's write-up because they phrase things in a slightly more clear sort of way. And so the first thing to talk about is the game's characters. There's a set of three. In theory...
Again,
in theory, we're going to be playing as three different people, Ricardo, Rhodes, and Casey. Ricardo is an ex-special agent from Colombia who aspires to the life that the Los Perros Locos cartel bosses had when he was growing up. You've got Rose, who's a police officer whose husband passed away before the beginning of the game, leading her into a spiral of addiction and depression. And Casey, a former boxer, described as Trevor if he wasn't psychotic. And they have no problem hurting people for money.
my question is, what is Trevor if he wasn't psychotic? I don't actually know. He was so defined by being psychotic that I can't even envision a character based on him.
I guess like the version of him that drives the guy to the airport afterwards, where he's more sort of like self-contemplative.
That's true. What's interesting about these three characters, should they be true, is that we keep hearing, for years now, over and over again, that one of the playable characters is going to be involved with the police in some form, whether they're a corrupt cop, whether they're an ex-cop, or what have you. And I always think that kind of seems like almost too much of an obvious idea that the GTA franchise hasn't really done yet, to get someone who kind of blurs the line between law and criminality, and it feels like a missed opportunity, but then almost, because we've talked about it so much, too obvious now to do, and I don't know what to think about that.
A lot of people mentioned for the longest time, because obviously if you played old school GTAs, you can't just hop in a cop car and go do a bunch of cop missions. And in regards to doing wish list features for GTA 5 and now GTA 6, like you said, a lot of people were like, what if you played as one of the police officers and maybe, you could sort of divert the police squads away from the other character or something. Maybe you're playing like two parts of a certain car chase at the same time, jumping between them or whatever. That is mentioned in this leak, that Rose will have access, because every character apparently has their own special abilities, kind of like GTA 5. Yeah. And one thing mentioned is that Rose would have the ability to divert the police away from another character in a police chase, which makes me wary of believing that, because that's what we've specifically requested, us two literally, but also all of you. And so, either Rockstar have been listening to the fan forums and reading all that stuff for the last 10 years or so, or the whole thing is fake. So there is that. But in terms of story stuff, apparently you would begin the game in South America as Ricardo. You'd then travel to Liberty State, which is apparently the new version of Liberty City, and then Casa City, Vice City, and Cottonmouth. Now, Casa City is from Manhunt. That's sort of their Rockstar's take on like Rust Belt cities, like Detroit, Michigan, or whatever. But it's like a really over-the-top version of like a Rust Belt city, which is kind of how Rockstar would do a lampooning of those types of cities from their lens. Obviously, Rockstar were initially Scottish, and that kind of thing. And Cottonmouth is from Manhunt 2, which is like the main setting from Manhunt 2. It's loosely based on New Orleans. So that's kind of interesting territory for a GTA.
That is true, but it does make me question the legitimacy of this leak, Scott, because I don't know, I could be getting this entirely wrong, but have Rockstar ever incorporated kind of areas or cities mentioned in other franchises and then kind of incorporated them into the GTA world? Like, is that something that they would do?
Not very much, but they did. So Casa City was mentioned in GTA 3 at the very, very beginning. It's on the weather report or the news report saying that something just happened in Casa City. There was a whole thing with Red Dead Redemption 2 having, is it New Bordeaux, which crossed over with like Mafia. So they've kind of been playful with some place names before, but not that much. They've not really done like a Rockstar shared universe too much. You get Easter eggs, you get stuff that mentions different characters. But yeah, in terms of the likes of Manhunt, that was sort of viewed as like Rockstar's most extreme period. And actually setting a GTA in Casa City, I guess would make sense, but timeline-wise, it would be kind of weird because there's whole chunks of that city that are shut down and taken over for the likes of all the snuff stuff.
Well, not to jump ahead, because I don't know what's in this leak. I'm getting all of this information fresh.
Yes.
But one of the rumors, that did the rounds previously was that the game might be set over multiple time periods. There was some rumors that you'd be jumping from maybe the 90s into the present day, maybe even going back to kind of like the 80s or 70s to get like different versions of Vice City and seeing how these locations change over time. Is there anything about that in this leak, or is that just me pulling together a bunch of different
There's
rumors
not in this
to try and make
particular
sense?
one, but like, that was that whole leak from 2 years ago. We were just saying before we were recording, we've been covering GTA 6 leaks for almost 10 years.
It's ridiculous.
About as long as this GTA 5's been out. There was the whole Project America's leak from about 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
That had similar material in regards to, because the whole other thing I'm going to get onto is that one of Ricardo's abilities is the ability to build a cartel, and you can do that in the South America setting and everything. And Casey has the ability to recruit gang members across Casa and Liberty City. So it seems like the stuff from the Project America's leak, which was all about the Empire business, let's say, has maybe crossed over as well. But again, mountain of salt, if you were building a new age leak for GTA 6 that felt definitive and felt in depth, you would pull from all the stuff that has previously done the rounds. So there is all that stuff. It seems like they want to bring back, the likes of San Andreas' gang management stuff, which hasn't really been done in full in the new era of GTA, as far as I know.
Going back, if I may, to the locations that you mentioned.
Aunt May.
Yes, call me Aunt May, because I want to jump into those locations that you mentioned, because I have a big question, and this is just getting into your opinion, because I value your opinion very much.
Thank
you. When we talk about GTA, we always talk about the same handful of locations. We talk about Liberty City, we talk about San Andreas, we talk about Vice City, and these kind of locations seem to repeat themselves. While I would be excited for a GTA 6 that is made up of parts of cities that we've seen before, remade and recontextualized, what do you think about the idea of GTA just using the kind of iconography and the settings that we already know and love, rather than maybe creating something that is entirely new?
It's interesting because I think that at this stage it's almost become their go-to signature legacy thing. And we mentioned in the other video about Rockstar, that like obviously a lot of the main creatives at Rockstar, the likes of Dan Houser, the likes of Leslie Benzies, aren't there anymore, and they were instrumental to the initial hot streak that Rockstar went on and the initial rise of GTA as it is right now. Those people not being there anymore, I wonder how much that makes the remaining staff members creative lean on what worked before, so as to not break GTA, or so as to make it feel like another traditional GTA. And yeah, if you start going back, I mean, the likes of Liberty City goes all the way back to the original GTA, so it's like they've kind of always had that same rotation of locations, but like you said before, they've never brought in something from Manhunt. But there's only so many other IP they can bring stuff in from, so I don't know, I kind of just, that was always a part of GTA where I was like, that's a bit limiting. Like when all the initial rumors for GTA 6, and I'm talking like 7 years ago, was the idea of GTA being set in the East. And there were confirmed reports of various Rockstar scouting groups going out to, I'm pretty sure it was Tokyo, to analyze the geometry of the streets, the way that all the different streets literally feed into each other. And they ruled that out as a place to set a GTA. I was initially really excited by that, because I was like, that would be such a different GTA. And I really like Chinatown was in terms of an Eastern setting. So I would like them to experiment more. But I think they have a nice split. I mean, you've got like Liberty City, Vice City, and then you do have revamped versions of Casa City and Cottonmouth, which I barely remember Manhunt 2. That thing was just a blur.
This is it. Like, that is still exciting to me, even though they are familiar cities, or cities that we've seen have been mentioned in other games. Like, that still sounds like a massive map. And if we're going to have to wait this long for a GTA 6, like, I think if you just had Liberty City again, or if you just had Vice City again, while exciting, it might not justify the 10-year wait for it. However, if you manage to stitch all of these locations together somehow, the sheer scale of that map, despite its familiarity, to me, would still make it exciting. Yeah,
I mean, also, like, GTA has done, like, sort of like, dropping into a certain location from the past for a little bit and then moving somewhere else. I forget, was it GTA 4? I forget which one lets you go back to St. Marco's Bistro in GTA 3. You do one mission there, and then you go elsewhere, you do other things. But it's, I think, San Andreas. It's in San Andreas where you go back to a location from GTA 3, and then you continue with the story again. So as much as other locations are being mentioned here, maybe the focus is on South America and is on the revamped versions of Casa City, Cottonmouth, and Vice City and Liberty are just kind of in there to drop in and do a few missions.
If we look at what Rockstar have been doing recently as well, say, take Red Dead Redemption 2, for example, like that game, you have like the main map that is new to Red Dead Redemption 2, you have parts of the map from Red Dead Redemption 1, and then you have entire new maps that are separate from the main environment, like Guama, when you get stranded on that island, you know what I mean? So they've kind of been potentially experimenting with these different fragments before, and maybe building up to this kind of, for want of a better phrase, a super map based on previous GTA titles. I can see them making this next step.
That's a really good point. That, considering the amount of art assets and time time and just general coding went into that one chapter in that game, maybe speaks to the reality of them doing little parts of the game that are set aside for certain missions and stuff. Next thing down is all of the activities that you can take part in. And so GTA is a weird one because I feel like over the years, I remember the days, I'm going to sound old AF, I remember the days when you couldn't play golf in GTA and everyone was looking forward to that in Vice City because you can pick up a golf club, but then even if you go to the golf course, you can't do anything with it. And then it was like, why is that not here? And so somewhere along the way, Rockstar were like, we'll just give you as many mini games as possible. And then GTA 5's version of the golf is like the most fleshed out, perfected, physics-based golf you've ever seen, but it's also the most overlooked thing in GTA history.
Dude, I remember like trying to play, tennis and golf in GTA 5 and thinking, I will play this for hours. And I think I had one game of each and was like, that is so cool that it's there and I will never touch it again. Just like the stock market in GTA 5.
Exactly.
I like that you put all of these details in there because I'm sure someone will enjoy them. But for me, no. But I'm excited to see what could be in GTA 6.
In regards to stock market stuff, it is mentioned in here that each character has their own bank account and has their own access to stock market stuff. So I guess if you love that side of GTA, you can go and I guess have fun with that from multiple character perspectives. But also, shout out to San Andreas' pool, by the way. Physics were completely balked and it was barely, the pool balls never moved normally. I played so much of pool in San Andreas. Anyway, the new activities for assumedly GTA 6, if this stuff is real, includes gambling, golfing, surfing, skateboarding, tennis, pool, chess, basketball, bowling, strip clubs, cinemas, and arcades. So there's and also mentioned in here is the idea of weekly live sporting events that you will be able to watch in game, and it says alongside your favorite streamers. I know that's Dick Sato's phrasing, but assumedly something across social media would happen in a live capacity. Maybe that's Rockstar borrowing from the likes of Fortnite to sort of get eyeballs on GTA once a week, get a whole bunch of players in one place. Maybe people are competing against each other. I don't know.
That's interesting to take those elements that have been in previous GTA games and maybe kind of blow them up to be more multiplayer based or certainly more social media influence, because I mean, GTA 4 had comedy clubs, like the cinema itself has been a mainstay over this franchise and franchises like Red Dead Redemption, and they've always felt, at least to me, so extraneous. Like they're fun little additions, but if you manage to keep them kind of alive or kind of change up what is being shown in these comedy clubs or in these movie theaters and kind of make them like mini events, I hate to admit it, like you said, as Fortnite does with its live events, and kind of make them a thing that people have to tune in for and want to check out every week in GTA 6 Online or whatever. I might think that's the death of culture, but at the same time, I can see that idea working in a really weird and perverse way.
That, my friend, seems to be culture these days. I forget the name of the different people who have done gigs inside Fortnite. But one thing mentioned here in regards to the live sporting events each week is that you'd be able to place bets on them, which makes me think of the way that the GTA 5 casino or GTA Online casino rolled out, where Rockstar were very clear about walking a very specific line where you weren't placing real money bets, you were using their premium currency, you were using their in-game currency, and that was how they got around the whole it's actually gambling thing.
Right.
So maybe that's how you do it in this one as well. But I like the idea of taking all the mini games, all the different activities that you've got, all the perfected mechanics that they've built, and then having sort of ostensibly multiplayer arenas that if you want, you can go up to and watch certain games unfold. It feels like they're blurring the lines of GTA 6 and GTA Online even more.
Yes.
But if I'm Rockstar and I'm looking at just how much money GTA Online has made and where the general, the amount of hours that have been played are, where they even are, it's GTA Online. It's making GTA this a complete alternate life that we can just live in. It's PlayStation Home, Josh.
Totally. I mean, it's the metaverse, Scott Telford.
Apparently.
But it is an easy way, I think, to keep the world feeling alive and persistent, if that makes sense. Like, it takes a long time to create new heists. It takes a long time to create new missions and cutscenes. It takes considerably less time to throw in a live sporting event that we've kind of like just knocked up, or a kind of like a little cutscene movie that we've knocked up to show to people on a certain date. But those kind of little events in the world do, like I said, keep it feeling like a living, breathing city that is constantly changing, and it gives people a reason to jump back into the world and check this stuff out with their friends. Again, I worry about the way it's implemented and its intentions, and whether it is for artistic reasons or if it is just for retention reasons.
Is it just an in-game strip club that you're throwing the premium currency at. But yeah, let us know what you think down in the comments below of all the GTA 6 stuff so far. There's quite a lot of it. It hasn't been fully debunked yet, but like I said, the post has been deleted, but it's Mountain of Salt time. It's Salt Lake City. I don't know what that means, but there's salt in there somewhere. But let us know what you think down below. For now, I've been Scott from WhatCulture.com.
I've been Josh from WhatCulture.com.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.